1985, Chicago wins the Super Bowl, and the world watches an even more historic face-off. We're invited to operate Windows 1.0, trade record albums for CDs, and listen when rock develops a conscience. Some of its most recognizable voices urge the world to aid anonymous millions starving in Africa.
We are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving.
Every amount of money that you spend trying to eliminate poverty and to give to people in poverty produces more inflation.
In 1985, joined by her university students and armed with idealism, Melissa Wade partners with Atlanta Public High Schools and organized debate begins.
Over 37.3 million people are struggling to get food, clothing, and shelter right now.
What started as an academic hypothesis by the Emory University professor evolved into the Atlanta Urban Debate League, and so much more.
If you can teach people to use their words to command the attention of decision makers, then they do not have to resort to other means to command that attention. And by the time we got to the early to mid 80s, there was a lot of violence to get the attention of decision makers who just didn't acknowledge that education was not equal.
In many of Atlanta's inner city schools, teachers and administrators struggled just to keep schools open. There was little support for extracurricular activities such as debate.
I was really helped majorly by two teachers, Dr. Larry Moss and Betty Maddox. This was a true grassroots movement.
Debate for some of mine pulled them back into the classroom and made them come to school and want to come to school.
One of the students in Betty's early classes was Ed Lee. He directs Emory's debate program now, but at the time he was unmotivated and felt isolated. Until debate, he had no voice.
This was unique in that the curriculum was driven and determined by me. That I get to stand up and I get to say what I want and I get to marshal an argument. And I didn't have the teacher telling me, no, now is not the right time to talk about that. We'll get to that chapter next week. And the other team had an incentive to listen to me because they wanted to win.
Betty wrangled a reluctant Ed into debate and provided the kind of inspiration good teachers always do.
The thing that kept all of us involved was her excitement about debate, her excitement about the process of learning.
Other systems wanted to use Atlanta's model, and more than 2 decades later, 40,000 students in major cities across the country are using their voices. The Boston Debate League works with teams and promotes using debate in actual classrooms. At New Mission High, take a look at Ravi Singh's history class and arguments over slavery.
Will be left up to popular sovereignty. You won't decide, I won't decide, no one in this room will decide. It will be.
Issues are very complicated. Oftentimes students look at the world in binaries, one way or another, right, wrong, black, white. And with debate, a more kind of nuanced worldview is fostered.
We should take that way in honor of the people that died.
It's hard to believe now, but Ted White used to be so shy, he barely talked at all.
Very little, and if they got hurt, they got fired. If slaves got hurt in the South,
in 8th grade, I was an okay student, but not a great student. This year, I made a commitment saying I'm going to be the best student I can, and debates really helped me with it because before this, I used to not be able to write that good, and I used to not be able to speak that good or read, but debate, it helped me become a better reader, writer, and speaker.
It was and is the only way to avoid civil war.
Debate earned Darian Amato Speaker of the Year and the attention of his classmates.
I love the competition, I thrive for it, and I just always want to be able to prove my point and feel as though my point is better than my opponent's.
Darian's excitement is perfectly understandable to the director of Boston's Debate League.
Debate has made me who I am today.
As an undergraduate, Steve Stein thought he'd follow in his father's footsteps and become a lawyer. But after coaching and teaching in Atlanta's Urban Debate League, things changed.
By the time I was a senior, I realized, you know what? I don't think I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a high school teacher.
And he did. teaching in Atlanta and Chicago. Then Boston called and asked Steve to run its debate program. He agreed for the chance to affect even more young people.
I know that if schools were to embrace building a large debate team, were to embrace having teachers use debate regularly in the classroom, then the academic atmosphere of that school would be forever changed. Not just the students who are on the debate team will be impacted, but the students who are in the class with the other students on the debate team will be impacted when they see the level of academic engagement those students are used to. And I think that if you can replicate that across the entire school system, you're looking about transforming public education in America.
We're forced to reconsider some of our most deeply held assumptions. Race and poverty are
In Atlanta, the Urban Debate League branched out into middle schools, reaching a younger group of eager students. The Middle School League was so successful that student numbers increased from 18 to more than 200 in the first year.
Over the last few years,
Private, suburban, and specialized schools noticed and asked to be a part of the league.
At the end of the day, if you give everybody the same teaching resources, students can perform with knowledge about research, knowledge about coaching, knowledge about argument construction, put them in a tournament setting. If everybody has the same training, it's amazing how similar the outcomes are.
I can imagine myself debating for presidents and mayors and stuff. That would be fun.
The investor confidence is in.
More than 75% of urban debaters attend college, and another 80% go on to graduate.
Impacts millions as increasing.
100 colleges actively recruit from these leagues.
The president says that Obama has made a variety of new commitments.
Debate definitely changed my life because it really made me know that I can do anything that I put my mind to.
Nika Hackworth pursued her dream of becoming an attorney by earning law and MBA degrees at Harvard. But she never forgot a lesson from her first high school debate tournament.
It was probably a rural county in Georgia that I had never been to before. At that time, there was only one all African American school that participated actively in debate. Oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? Can I really do this? But then I remembered Dr. Moss always telling us, you're just as good, if not better. You prepared, you planned, don't be intimidated.
She keeps that advice in her heart, in the courtroom, and never forgets how she got it.
The fact that I was able to go from, being at Thurl High School in Southwest Atlanta to becoming an assistant United States attorney was not because of me. It was because of all of the hours that people put into helping me along the way.
Nika is committed to paying it forward and reaches back to her old high school where she directs an internship. Atlanta Urban Debate inspired a national movement in education. Now, South America, Asia, and Africa are interested. Christy Bradley taught debate in South Korea.
They're often told to be quiet, not to speak. Authority is authority, your teacher is the authority, and so debate also gives them that platform to speak their minds and not be challenged or judged by it at all.
Jason Jarvis went to Iraq, where interest was alarmingly high.
We had students who came from Baghdad and Basra. They took a taxi from 10 hours from Basra and 5 hours from Baghdad on roads that are definitely not safe, and they came so they could do a debate training program.
It's key to solve. Signed during 2004, United States is exerting.
The success of the Atlanta Urban Debate relies on the students themselves, many volunteers, school systems, and the support of organizations and universities who believe in its mission. The Glenn Pelham Foundation was the first nonprofit to focus on urban debate. Over the past 2 decades, it's attracted and dispersed more than $3 million in grant money. Board Chair Sharon Simmons has been involved from the beginning.
You should hear some of these kids talk about their experiences. How really that they had no idea of a larger world beyond their neighborhood or beyond their family.
The Atlanta League transformed debate from only an activity for the gifted and for those who could afford specialized training to thousands of underserved kids. For many, however, there's still much work to do.
I have people say that nationally we've reached about 40,000 kids through these programs in 24 or 5 cities. We should be reaching 5 million kids.